Now that you're familiar with the different ways you can screen and mark your source clips in Premiere Pro CC, we're going to look at the different ways you can add clips to your timeline to build your sequence. Before you add a clip to your timeline, there are 4 questions you need to ask. What, where, when, and how. The what is, what part of the source clip do I want to put into my sequence? So that question relates to the marking the in and out points on your source clip, which we've already gone over. The next question, where, is related to these buttons located at the far left of your timeline. This is called the track routing panel. The V1, 2, 3, etc. are the video tracks, and the A1, 2, 3, etc. are the audio tracks. The buttons on the far left relate to your source clip, so you'll usually only see 1 track of video and 1 or 2 tracks of audio, unless your video doesn't have any audio at all, in which case you'll just see V1. The buttons just to the right of those are related to the tracks in your sequence. During your edit, you can stack video tracks on top of each other that play at the same time, and you can also have many audio tracks playing at the same time. So you see a default configuration of 3 tracks of video and 3 tracks of audio. You can add more video and audio tracks to your sequence if you need to by right-clicking on the track panel and choosing Add Tracks. You can use the Add Track window to choose how many video and audio tracks you want to add and their placement related to the tracks that are already there. For the audio tracks, you can also designate the track type as well: standard, 5.1 surround, mono, etc. When you've made your selections, click OK. So the where question leads to your decision of where you want the tracks from your source clip to go in your sequence. And you do this by clicking and dragging the source video and audio tracks to align with the sequence tracks that you want them to go onto. You can also click to turn your source video track button off so that you'll only be adding audio from that clip, and you can do the same with the audio tracks. Once a clip is on your timeline, you can adjust the track location, and we'll go over that in a later lesson. To start with, it's usually a good idea to leave the source tracks as they are. The next question, when, relates to the blue playhead in your sequence timeline. As its name suggests, the timeline is a chronological display of your sequence, starting from left to right, and the blue playhead determines when, in that chronological order, the source clip will be placed. The final question you need to ask is how. And that relates to the 2 kinds of edits there are: insert edits and overwrite edits. An insert edit inserts your shot at the playhead position in your timeline and moves everything else down on your timeline. An overwrite edit goes on top of whatever is to the right of the playhead on your timeline without moving anything down. You can see that it's important to pay attention to which type of edit you use, especially in the instance of overwrite, because you could accidentally place your clip on top of another clip in your sequence that you wanted to keep. So let's make our first edit using these 4 questions. For what, I'm going to mark an in and an out point on my source clip. For where, I'm going to look at how the track routing is arranged and make sure that the source tracks are going to where I want them to go in the sequence. In this instance, I'm going to leave them the way they are. For when, I'm going to move my blue timeline playhead to the point in time in my sequence where I want the clip to go. If this is the first clip you're adding to an empty timeline, the when, or playhead, is automatically located at the far left or beginning of the sequence. We recommend that while you're first building your sequence that you only use the Insert Edit option to avoid any accidental overwrite edits that might go on top of clips that you want to keep. So the how in this case would be the Insert Edit. The Insert and Overwrite Edit buttons are located in the lower right corner just beneath your source window. The Insert icon looks like 3 blocks with the middle one on top. The Overwrite icon has a solid gray rectangle with a box on top. With the 4 questions answered, I can now click on the Insert button. Notice that the clip has been added to my timeline and the playhead has moved to the end of this shot so that it's already in place for the next shot. Now I'm going to mark and insert 2 more shots. These vertical lines in the timeline delineate where each clip starts and ends and are called edit points. Now, if at some point I want my new clip to go between these 2 clips in my sequence, I need to move my playhead so that it's parked exactly on that line. Since it can be hard to get the playhead exactly at that position, click on the up arrow to jump to the previous edit upstream. Or click on the down arrow on your keyboard to jump to the next edit point downstream. Once my playhead is located on an edit point between two clips, I'll click the Insert Edit button. Notice how the new clip goes in between the two on either side, and that the clips downstream move to accommodate the new one. This is called rippling. Now let's take a look at the other How edit type, the Overwrite edit. The same steps apply. Mark an in and out point on your source clip, determine if your tracks are routed correctly, and move the timeline playhead to the point where you want the shot to go. But this time, I'll click on the Overwrite Edit button. Notice that the new clip has gone over or on top of the clip or clips in the timeline, effectively deleting them. Also notice that the rest of the clips located downstream of the new clip haven't moved or rippled like we saw with the Insert Edit. To play your sequence back, drag the blue playhead handle all the way to the left or to the beginning of your sequence. You can also press the function left arrow on your keyboard. Then either click the play button located underneath the program monitor or press the spacebar on your keyboard to play. Click the spacebar again to stop. A really important shortcut to know is undo, or Command-Z or Control-Z on a PC. If you make a mistake, you can press the Command-Z or Control-Z on a PC and undo the last action that you did. You can keep undoing until you get back to where you were when the mistake happened. So, those are the basics of adding clips to your sequence timeline.